This podcast contains explicit content not suitable for listeners under the age of 18. Parental discretion is advised.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I think sometimes we hear that phrase so often, it kind of loses weight. But when you actually look at the numbers, it's a lot heavier than most people realize. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, about 13% of people in the U.S., so roughly 1 in 8 people, are dealing with depression in any given 2-week period. Now, when you zoom in on younger people, it gets even more real. That same data shows nearly 1 in 5 adolescents are experiencing depression. And it doesn't stop there. CDC data also shows that about 40% of high school students report feeling persistently sad or hopeless, and 1 in 5 have seriously considered suicide. So this isn't rare. This isn't other people. This is happening everywhere.
I mean, let's be honest, look at the last conversations you guys had about kids being in the streets, though. I mean, is it really that shocking? If they think they're not going to grow to be adults, I mean, doesn't anxiety and depression and all of that kind of go hand in hand if you think, hey, I'm not even going to make it to 18, so.
I just didn't expect 12, though.
Yeah, that's so young still. But, I mean, like you said, now that you putting together, Jennifer, this the whole, environment and life that a lot of young kids have to live. You know what? I understand it now.
Yeah. Well, and I was
no. The more I think about it, the more you're making me think about real situations, and I do know of some with kids in that age range and possibly younger. Like I knew a whole family. And I could see where they could possibly have had depression, but I don't know if they knew that's what it was. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because of their age.
Well, let me throw some more data at you guys real quick. So it says that same data set that collected the information from the CDC highlights that adolescents aged 12 to 19 are the most affected group out of that 13%, with 19.2% experiencing depression, ages 12 to 19.
And it doesn't say why these kids so depressed. So it's safe to say that the majority of our kids are unhappy.
I mean, 40% is a pretty high number.
Shit, that's pretty close to half.
Yeah, something, yeah.
I'm curious as to the demographic background of the kids in these surveys.
Well, it doesn't take that. It's the only data that it provides. Because you remember, like a lot of them, it doesn't break it down by where you located at, but across the board, 40%, regardless of geographic location, regardless of resources, regardless of gender, regardless of race, 40%.
Man, that's a big number.
So my whole point is you strip away all the whys and leave it with just that number. 40% have reported. That's people who have reported. That's not even the number that haven't reported it. Let's be honest, right? So you have that's the number that has reported feeling hopelessness or sadness in their life, with 20% of those considering suicide.
That's so scary and sad. I don't even know what to say almost.
Yeah, because I'm the same way, because you got to think these kids is growing up and then they're going to have kids, and, back to the cycles, right?
Yeah.
Somebody unhappy. How can somebody unhappy teach somebody to be happy and enjoy life? Right? Or how can somebody who's so unhappy?
Because that's the thing. Like, I mean,
man,
we can look up what the most common like triggers are, but I'm sure we've talked about a lot of them, right? Bullying, you know what I mean? Financial stress at home, like not having enough to eat or having enough, period. You know what I mean? Like fighting in the home, like, you know, divorces. A lot of those statistics, I feel like, lead into that as well. And let's be honest, like, look at the divorce statistics. Look at, you know what I'm saying, the amount of homes that are living below what the US considers the median. You know what I mean? People who are on paper look like they're good, but they're still struggling because of the economy and cost of living and the bills. You know what I'm saying? You could have a decent job and still struggle because you don't make enough. You know what I mean? And all of those things cause uncertainty. And let's be honest, when, like, just thinking back about myself, when I think back when I was younger, you know what I mean? There was a lot of family stressors that caused a lot of that, you know what I mean? That if that had just been eliminated, then, and I'm sure there's some in your situation, if you had just had stable housing and a place.
I mean, there's a lot of things for me, but I know I didn't grow up the normal. You know what I mean? I didn't grow up normally. So,
but if you had that stability, is what I'm saying.
I try not to compare myself and how I grew up to a lot of kids today, or a lot of kids, period, because my childhood was kind of an anomaly. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, but my whole point is that if you had a stable home, you had a stable, reliable family, then a lot of those things that you experienced, you wouldn't have been exposed to. So that's my whole thing, is like, even when people have like the bare minimum they need, there's still that inconsistency, that instability, that fear of it being taken away, right? Because a lot of families live paycheck to paycheck. And so if they don't get the next paycheck, they lose everything they got. You know what I mean? That's a big fear too, especially for kids, I feel like.
But now, can I tell you? Because you're exactly right. But now this is a good question. Like Jesse basically asked in another way, I'm kind of thinking. So, how many? What do you think the percentage is in that, in terms of how many kids are living like that and worried about the whole paycheck to paycheck, and really like letting, and parents letting that affect the kids to the point where they just really acknowledge and understand the pressure of what's going on with them. What percentage do you think that is of today's kids?
ah man, it's hard to say. Probably pretty high.
Mm.
Okay, so how about I throw out some positive statistics? So there was a study published recently in the CDC journal, Preventing Chronic Disease, found that high school students who were physically active at least 5 days per week had a 19% lower likelihood of experiencing depression symptoms. And it says that same study from Preventing Chronic Disease reported that students participating in sports had an even lower likelihood of depression. So, I mean, there's the direct correlation with, you know, kids that are getting out and moving and, you know, getting involved even with sports, with something fun, you know what I mean? It's taking them out of that negative mind space.
And I can see that because we know it's already been scientifically proven that physical activity triggers dopamine in the body. So, you know, you have all these good hormones, these feel good hormones being released when you're moving. Plus, you throw in the sports, you have the camaraderie, right? Friendships that are made,
just socialization,
and then just the escape of putting all of your effort in to what you're doing. I hadn't really participated in a lot of sports, but when I was boxing, you know, it's hard to think about anything else going on in life when you're getting punched in the face. So,
well, I was gonna say, if you're really into the game and you're really into that sport, you know, like, you're gonna be all in it. You're gonna be in the moment.
Exactly.
You're not gonna be stressing or thinking about anything else, because you're just thinking, how do I get the ball? How do I pass the ball? How do I do this? You know what I mean?
How am I score? You in the moment. caught up in the heat of the moment, in the passion. So I could see, right. And then from my own personal experiences, man, if it wasn't for being physically active, I wouldn't have made it through prison.
Yeah.
Just able to, man, even if it won't doing nothing but getting down and do some push-ups, just getting up and getting my blood moving.
Well, having somewhere to put that all that energy into positively as well, you know what I mean? Finding a positive outlook in a place that has nothing but really negativity around you too.
I wouldn't even say it's even a means of expelling energy, because prison is a draining place. There's some days that, you know, and they're just everything. You feel your limbs feel like they weigh a ton. You don't feel like doing nothing. You don't want to talk to nobody. You don't want to eat. You don't want to sleep. You don't want to go nowhere. You don't do nothing. Right? It's just completely draining. And I've had days like that where I've went out and worked out, even though I didn't feel like it, just doing anything. Even if it was just walking around the rec yard, just anything. And it would help. Just getting out and doing something, man, sometimes was the hardest thing ever to do. But I couldn't imagine ever making it without doing it.
And I was gonna say, David, you kind of said something similar, because you're, with you being a fitness trainer, you're like, your life is in the gym. Like, you can't imagine not going to the gym every day, because that's really what helps you as well.
Yes, but not the working in the gym part, the actual time when I get to work
Working
out.
out, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you being in
definitely.
the gym every day and working out, and you know what I mean, and that makes you feel like probably younger too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I would say the working at the gym, the biggest benefit is the fact that it makes it so that I actually work out myself every day, which I'm thinking I probably wouldn't do if I wasn't working there. So that is the benefit to actually working at the gym. And as far as it being helping with my mental health, I can't even express how important it is for me from a mental health perspective. Because at least for a moment in time every day, I'm able to, if like for a better term, kind of just blank out and not think about anything. And that in itself, for me, is kind of like it helps me from a mental health place. If that makes sense, does it?
Yeah, it's like you're pausing in life for a moment. You're just taking a quick pause and doing something that you enjoy physically. You know what I mean? Even if you don't enjoy, like, because that's what me and Jesse were talking about. Is like, I personally am not a runner, but I know people who enjoy running. But like, and that's what we were talking about, is like, I personally cannot understand enjoying running, because I personally don't enjoy it, but I do enjoy swimming. So I look at it the same way. Like, how I feel about swimming is probably how other people feel about their activity of choice.
Right.
And it's the
Because
same thing.
I would imagine, I ain't been to interrupt, but I would imagine when you're swimming, you're
Mhm.
really you're in a place where you're not thinking about anything else, right?
Yeah, just stroke, stroke, breathe, stroke, stroke, breathe. That's like
Yeah, yeah,
that's what goes through my head when I'm swimming, is just, the next stroke, and you know what I mean? And just maintaining that rhythm. And when you're done, like when you're doing it, yeah, it's, you're straining, and you're working out and stuff, but it's like when you're done, it's that peace, I guess, that moment of
yeah.
quiet is what was really needed.
Right, right. Because that whole time that you were stroke breathing, that was almost like a chant, and everything else. Because just think of all the other stuff that we deal with on a daily, hour to hour, minute to minute basis for at least a shorter period of time when you were in that pool and just focusing on what you were doing. Everything else kind of went out the window. That's where I think
Yep.
the mental health part of it really comes into play in terms of how it helps you mentally. What would you say, Jesse?
I would say it's a lot. I think mental health wise, fitness helps you a lot more than just being able to forget about it. Especially when you get into it at an early age. I think if you wouldn't have encouraged mom and me to get me in that boxing club when you did back when I was like
Yeah.
what 13, right? Because that was kind of my introduction into real fitness. And
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I don't know if I would have made it through some of the things because sometimes I would often relate while in prison some of the things that I would be struggling with mentally or emotionally um to my struggles in fitness, right? Because it would hurt and I could still get through it, right? And I would learn to push myself further and further and further and further. And I would translate that over to deal with my emotional and my mental problems, and I still do, right? I remember back around the time I got under 5 years, I had set a goal for myself for a couple of months. I was like, man, I'm gonna get out there every week and I'm gonna do a 5 mile run. And I would do the miles to my years, right? Like, man, you got 5 years left. You're gonna quit, and that's 1 mile. And I was like 4 years left. Man, what you gonna do? You done made it this far, right? And then I used that same method, man. I just went out one day and just ran 8 miles. And I never trained, I never tried. I just got out and did it, right? And it would hurt, and I would just push through it because I would tell myself through all the mental and emotional stuff I had been through, this physical stuff was nothing. But then when I think about it, if I would have never trained myself physically, I would have never made it through that mental and emotional stuff to say that physical stuff is nothing. I don't know if that made sense to y'all or not.
It does, because I mean, that's what I was gonna say is for a lot of people, it's like it's the same. Like when you're like David said, it's just I feel like we all just kind of compute it differently. You know what I mean? Like it helps everybody in a different way. Like, you know, for some of us, it's just that the quietness of the moment, I feel. And then for you, it's like, you know, it's the reconfirmation that you're still alive and that, you know, that sometimes you just gotta get up, whether you want to or not, and make it happen. Now, I will say a more recent analysis in the Preventing Chronic Disease, CDC, shows that low levels of physical activity are consistently associated with higher rates of anxiety, depression, and reduced quality of life. So, I mean, I know we've kind of talked about that before, but, you know, the less active people are, you know, typically the less happy they are.
Hey, but do you want to hear some statistics I just kind of looked up just on out of curiosity because, you know, I'm really interested in getting my recovery specialist certification to go with this fitness instructor certification. Did you know that physical activity can increase success rates for those attempting to get off drugs by 95%? Regular physical exercise can increase success rates by 95% and cut relapse rates by 50%. Think about those numbers in terms of dealing with addiction. Aerobic exercise, running, walking, and jogging can significantly reduce alcohol consumption, with one study showing a decrease in consumption by 81%. So it kind of makes you wonder, right? They put all these, a lot of these individuals who are dealing with recovery, right? They go seeking help. Like I'm not going to get into specifics, but I know a few people that went and sought help from doctors and from the, you know, different people, and they all wound up in these clinics where they're getting put on a different drug.
Yeah, because that's normally how that works. Yeah.
When they could just go to the gym, right? Wouldn't it seem more to recovery if you have it can increase success rates by up to 95% and decrease relapses by 50%, you feel like that would be a significant enough statistic to be like, hey, we're going to use this in the medical field to those who are in recovery.
I don't even want to tell you my thoughts on it because it's going to take us down a little conspiracy rabbit hole. So I don't want to even say what I'm thinking. But I will. But I will have to say this part. I believe that, especially with what you're talking about, Jesse, with the recovery, you're dealing with addiction. I, I believe it's a systemic kind of thing going on once you get involved in the system, and they want it to move in a certain way. So, they want the pharmaceutical part involved. You know what I mean? They want pharmacy involved. They don't want all of a sudden you to have to know individually, hey, if you do this and exercise, this will help. I think they like the pharmaceutical part of recovery, if that makes sense, right? Because that's part of how the system works. To get off this drug, you got to get on this drug with the, you know, with the pharmaceutical system, right? That's my assumption, right? Because doesn't it seem like it's no recovery, especially in the United States, without getting on another drug?
That's kind of how it seems. It seems like the very first option is, okay, I'll give you this drug, and I know that I get it. There are some drugs, and I'm not a doctor. I don't know all the ins and outs of the medical field when it comes to narcotics, how they affect your body. I know that some drugs trying to quit them can have really, really negative impacts and even kill you. But at the same time, even if you are using these other drugs to help people get off or get clean, why isn't exercise being prescribed too?
Look, and the way that you're talking, Jared, that's
As a
not only prescribed. Shouldn't it be the way you're talking from a statistic standpoint? Man, it should be so big in the recovery field already.
like as a fitness professional, for as long as you've been a fitness professional and working at a major chain gym or major gym chain, have you ever gotten contacted by a health professional or had a client come to you and say, hey, I was recommended by my doctor for recovery? Like, is that something that's common? I've
Never,
never.
ever, never, ever.
Like, I know that they have programs in like halfway houses, right? Like some of the halfway houses, they have programs, fitness programs for the guys in recovery or the women in recovery. But it's not a common practice. Like, why isn't that more common? Like, as a fitness instructor, as a master trainer, like you are, I feel like you should be getting contacted by healthcare professionals on a regular basis for clients, right?
Okay, but I'm saying this from a standpoint of not knowing the actual particulars, but just in general looking at the recovery. I guess all I can say is kind of system in general, because I know somebody right now who has been in recovery several times for alcohol addiction, right? At no point in any of the recoveries has the person um, discussed like, oh, and they have me exercise. Never. And I'm
And
talking about eight.
I kind of feel like that's a
Well,
disservice to all the people who are seeking help from their healthcare providers for addiction and recovery, right? Because you're not even recommending this service. This is
yes.
something that could potentially change your life, right? You're not even recommending that. And it's all
Look,
positive.
look,
It's going to reduce
look.
blood
What about this? What
stress.
about this? And I didn't interrupt, but not even recommended it on your own. Like you understand what I'm saying, Jesse? Like, hey, do this on your own,
Yeah.
right?
And I
This might
know
help you.
And I know that there are some doctors out there that do recommend it. Like I said, I know that there are the halfway houses that they have the programs, because I know a guy that went through it, and he actually told me, he was like, "Dude, you need to get the recovery specialist certification for the fitness instructor because I just went through their program and it sucked. It was terrible. I've had much better workouts and felt better about myself working out with you in prison." Right. So I know that they have these programs, but they're not promoted enough, right? They don't get enough attention, I don't feel like, because when you have numbers like 95%, man, the COVID vaccine didn't have numbers like that, and they were shooting it in everybody.
Yeah, yeah,
Just saying, when you have numbers like that, it should be something that's more readily known about, right? That it should be something that anybody going to recovery, like, hey, if you're physically able, the first thing you should be doing if you're in this recovery house or you're coming to this program is, hey, you need to go and talk to your doctor and make sure you're clear for physical fitness, right? See what you can do physically and start doing it. It should be part of the 12 steps, I feel like, right?
man, it makes sense, doesn't it? In a way, but it makes such a in a common sense way, but in a realistic way. Like I said, I know a person right now actually in a facility, and this is like maybe it has to be at least the sixth or seventh one, and not a one has it been, and they instituted this exercise as part of therapy, or they told me once I got home to make sure that blah, 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 in terms of physical exercise, just
See,
not associated with it at all.
not only because for me, not only do you get all the physical benefits of exercise, right? You feel good about yourself, right? You have the dopamine, the serotonin, right? All these hormones and endorphins that are natural, that run through your body, that give you the rush and natural high that a lot of people like, that make you feel good, right? But it also, it helps you. It gives you something like, hey, it gives you something to say, hey, I can do this, right? Because just like I know, when you first start working out, you're not the strongest, right? You can't do the most pull-ups and the most push-ups and the most squats. You can't lift the most weight and do the heaviest curls. You can't do that. But if you stick to it and you set goals for yourself, right? You see progress. You physically see and physically feel the progress. You feel yourself changing.
Yep.
What could be more important for somebody trying to get a hold of their life than a feeling of physical, mental, and emotional change? You can feel it. It's tangible. It's there. It's not something somebody, oh, I'm proud of you. Oh, I see you doing this. They give you this coin you can hold, right? I see these people, they get the chips, and I ain't knocking it, right? If it works for you, it works for you. But you get this chip, and you can hold the chip in your hand. But what else do you feel, right?
Yeah.
When you go out and you start running, you can't run a half a mile this week, but then next week, man, I go out, I ran a whole mile. It might have took me 12 minutes to do it, but I did a whole mile this week. And then you go out, man, I did the whole mile, man, now I'm down to 8 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Now, man, I can do a mile in 7 minutes and I'm not tired. Now let me try 2 miles. And
Yeah.
it happens so fast, right? You first thought I couldn't do 20 push-ups. Right? I was getting sets of 10. Now, man, I can do 50 push-ups straight. And it took me no time. I was able to do it in a month. When it comes to recovery, things take time. But when it comes to physical exercise, when you first started, especially if you've never done it, when you first started, things come boom. It's like you have your results. What could be more powerful to somebody who's struggling in life?
Yeah. Yeah. You would think. You would think. I mean, as important as it is to communicate and talk it through, which I know it seems like that's the majority of what recovery is. You would think part of the treatment plan should be definitely uh, uh, fitness involved because, like you said, there's so many positives in it that would help you on a daily basis.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
help you that would help you in your recovery on a daily basis.
Well, I mean, you could even say that fitness is a tool for grounding yourself, you know what I mean? For regulating your mind and for reconnecting with your body in a way that actually supports your mental health. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
hey, Dave, you know what we should do?
But
I just thought about this. You know, we should do this. So we should try and get something together this summer, right? For Ronin Project and Natural Force Fitness, man. We go out and we put a little fitness event on for the homeless people, man. All of those people that's struggling in life, man, they out there, whatever they going through. You know what? You don't need no gym membership. You don't need a house. You don't need nothing. Let me show you how to do these push-ups. Let me show you different variations of push-up, how they do this, do that, right? If nobody else wants to prescribe it, let's start prescribing it. We can set something up. There ain't nothing to pop up at a park and teach some people how to do push-ups and some squats.
dude, I'm with that so much. And can I tell you something that's so crazy for you to even say that? Because it's a whole community kind of right around where I live and when I'm going to work. You know what I mean? So I pass at least, you know, two, three, four, five homeless people every day, right?
You know what I'm saying?
So
So
the point I'm making is I think I kind of, you know, I could see where I could get my people initially, and I really rock with them all, so I could see where they would work with me and even help me in terms of understanding even more from a fitness standpoint what they feel like would benefit them.
yeah, because you know we could pop up out there, man, with some flyers to hand out with the general information on how physical fitness helps with mental health, how it helps with recovery from addiction, um, how it helps with your emotional health, right? Not to mention your physical health. And we could just go over some basic body movements, just body weight exercises, how to correctly do push-ups, how to correctly do body weight squats, right? How to correctly do
Yep.
lunges and how to correctly do pull-ups and things like that. And then we go over, give a little information, then we just put a little thing together. Maybe have some hot dogs or something for afterwards.
Yep,
Hey,
yep, yep. Because it's a lot of body weight things you can show them a nice a plank. Like it's enough that you could show them that they can do, like you said, just right in the park that would benefit them, especially once you get them to understand the whole lifestyle of, hey, and this is something you need to do on a regular basis. This isn't like just this one time that we're showing you. We're really trying to show you the necessity of you need to do this on a regular basis.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. To me, as a trainer, the thing that I like that I really try to teach that I think is the most important thing, and I ain't gonna lie to you, I've only had like man just a handful of clients that I could say that I've seen them actually get it, and that is you have to do this for your life, like the entirety of your life. You understand what I mean? Like a lot of them take it as an, oh, okay, I paid for this contract package. I'm going to use all these sessions and then I'm done, right? And I try to teach them while they're with me, no, this is just the beginning because you should do this in the for the entirety of your life. That switch right there is a hard thing to do with people. And like I said, with the hundreds of people that I'm sure I've trained up to this point, only a handful that I could say got it. Like even when I see like two of them at my gym now that used to be my clients, but that I still see every day. And man, every time I see them, I make sure I give them some love. Like, man, you got it, right? Because just think, they're the only ones that actually got it, right? Like, because everybody else is like, once they're done with me and once they're done with the contract, they're like, oh, okay, now I'm done with the gym.
Yeah. But I think that's more our culture. You see what I'm saying? Before civilization became like it is, modernized, people were a lot more active, right? It seems the more technology we have, the less active we become.
Yeah,
So,
well, yeah, that's what advancements has done, made everything a lot easier and, made it so that we don't have to be
and I kind of,
active.
for me, well, at least when I was in prison, I had some good results when I was trying to teach guys in there that this has to become part of your life. Is we weren't made to not be active, right? We weren't made to not be active. So you might not like lifting weights like I do, right? Or like boxing like I do. And you might not like swimming like Jen does. But there's something out there physically that you can be doing to get active that I'm sure everybody would enjoy doing, whether it's riding bikes or skiing, snowboarding, right? Whatever it is, horseback riding, all of those things, right? Just getting moving, getting out. Man, that might be the cure for everything.
Especially once you actually get, um, once you understand the whole, like I said, lifestyle of it, right? That's
Yeah.
it. And to me, that I keep saying that because I know that's the biggest thing for me. Um, Man, the intensity and what you choose to do in terms of your fitness life is all cool, but nothing is more important than the consistency. That's what I
Right.
have over everybody. Well, I shouldn't say that, but over so many people. Uh, when they talk about, me, I'm like, man, you can't just think. What about this? Like, as we talk about each other and knowing each other, that's all you know about with me, isn't it? Is it any time that you know me that you just think I wasn't working in the gym either then, but you just
Wow.
knew that was always part of my life, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know. I remember the first time I seen you take up your supplements, right? When you were taking your official and all of those on. I seen
Uh-huh.
it. Oh my God, because I think I even asked you, I was like, why are you taking all these? And you told me what they were. Because in my life before that, the only time I seen anybody take pills were to get high,
Right.
right? So I didn't know at that point in my life, I didn't know that there were pills that you could take that actually helped your body, like fish oil, right? And any of the omegas and things like that. I didn't know that, right? I didn't know that there were
Right.
vitamins and things that you could take that helped your body. I thought people just took pills to get high.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. See. See.
So, but I think we definitely need to get out there and start spreading the word on fitness and how much it helps, right? I know it's starting to get a lot more momentum than what it used to with all the new evidence and the science that's supporting it. But we still got a long way to go, I feel like.
Oh, the longest way to go because because as things keep okay, so of course science is advancing in terms of letting people know the importance, but everything else is advancing also, which is making people even that much lazier. That's why, uh, um, and I ain't trying to diss the human race, but I mean that's just the way things are. We're in a real sedentary kind of place in how we live, right?
Well,
The major
21 point. 8% of Americans in 2024 reported not doing any physical activity for the entire year. So I'll throw
Man,
that there.
You imagine for a whole
anything.
year?
No, that means like no
Okay,
trying to work out of any level. Now that's not movement, that's just physical activity. So that means they purposely went out and did an exercise. So 21.8% of all Americans reported that they did zero physical activity for 2024. Just let that. But then look at the anxiety, depression, and PTSD statistics, and you wonder why they're off the charts. Well, I mean, when you have a huge demographic like almost 22%, you know, not doing anything. I mean, that's. I mean.
Hey, can I tell you something? Can I tell you something? And I know this is gonna sound crazy. That's a better number than I thought. I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought it would have been higher. And that's just when I, on a micro level, when I look at my family and friends and people I know, and I think about how many of them do zero activities. That 21%, man, that's, I'm not saying it's good because that's not a good number at all, but man, I thought it was going to be higher. I ain't gonna even lie to you.
So that's what I was gonna say. Like, you know, a lot of those studies, like pretty much every study, every stat we pulled repetitively says you don't have to be an athlete, you don't have to be a physical trainer, you don't have to be in the gym every day. You just have to move every day.
You just have to be active.
Kind of movement, just be active. Yep. You know what I mean? Like move your body in intentional ways to where you're prolonging your muscles and your flexibility and your stability and stuff, because once you stop, that's when all the stiffness starts happening. Trust me. I've been in this for like 6 years.
Look, and let's be clear about this to let everybody that's listening to know this part, because I think this is important for me to reiterate as a fitness trainer. You don't have to be in the gym at all to be active. The two are not correlated. There are things that you could do on a daily basis that are not fitness gym related in the sense that you have to go to someplace. You just have to be mentally ready to know that you have to do something every day.
Yep, even if that's just like go for a walk or take your dog for a hike, you know what I mean? Or, you know, just something to get the blood flowing.
Or like Jesse said, a whole body resistant routine you can do right at home with no weights at all. Jesse knows you could be in tip-top shape without lifting a weight.
I was going to say body weight calisthenics. That's what the military uses. We don't use weights when we have big group settings, and, you know, like it'll keep you toned and it'll keep you, you know, fit. But
if you're talking in terms of strength, like real overall strength, I would, me personally, for my personal and my professional opinion, I'm gonna say a gymnast is stronger than, like, because the body control, the overall body control. For me, when somebody can lift themselves up and hold themselves, balance themselves, their whole body on one hand, right? They can do that. They can spring off of that hand and land on their feet. That's some serious body control. That's serious strength. Overall strength.
I was gonna say dancers were the same thing for me. Yeah.
If you look at those gymnasts who can control their body, can flatten their body completely out and hold it there, the amount of core strength that takes.
Like the bars.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something.
Parallel to the floor.
Being a person that has lifted a lot of weights, especially when I was younger, in terms of you know, how much weight I squatted and bench pressed and, you know, all in the 400s and stuff. Man, that is nothing compared to a gymnast. It's nothing in my mind. It is nothing. It is no weight, enough weight that I can lift that compares to anything that they do.
At all.
At all.
Right.
At all. And let's be clear.
They're fast and slow twitch muscle fibers, and their endurance is incredible.
And let's be clear, from a human standpoint, that is really the only strength that really counts,
Absolutely.
right? Like it is all great. But when would I ever be like, man, you know what? If I need to just have a 500-pound person on my back, I'll be able to squat them up. You see how that doesn't make really a lot of sense in terms of how I would need to use that on a daily basis. But in gymnastics, just think that's your life in terms
Yeah.
of in terms of just the muscles and the way you go about moving your body. I agree with you completely, Jesse. They are without a doubt the strongest.
Which is why I love this new trend going on of the functional fitness, where you're training functional movements. I
Yeah,
actually really love that trend,
yeah,
and I'm excited to see how that goes and the improvements it has on physical health.
definitely, definitely. I would personally think, particularly being from that old schoolness of the whole bench press, squat, and deadlift. Man, you know that causes so much lack of mobility and flexibility over time. I would think the what you're talking about, Jesse, is going to add so much more mobility and functionality in terms of how your body is going to be able to move and do things. Because all that, like just me continually doing what I've done in the gym, all it's done for me is caused a lot of stiffness. You understand what
Yes.
I mean? Like
And, and
I'm very strong, but you know what I would do to make you feel like you were doing a complete workout? You just trying to put my arms behind my back and make my hands touch each other. I'd have you sweating like I'd have you sweating. Think about it. Not me.
yeah.
You'd be like, oh my God, I can't take it no more. But that's what those movements have done over all these decades. You know what I mean? Because of me not stretching and doing the other things properly. That's why the what you're talking about makes much more overall body sense, right?
So I was gonna say, so just bringing it back to the conversation, this isn't rare, right? This isn't other people. This is actually a really, if you look at the statistics, it's a really large pool of people. It's not, oh, it's not gonna happen to me. That's 1 in 5 people, if you really look at the statistics, you know what I mean? Especially in the adolescents. So, taking away that, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. What message would you like to leave the listeners, David?
Just if they could just understand the importance of how much exercise and activity helps with your mental health. That would be the main thing I would want to have the people really kind of understand and to what, like you said, Jen, whatever journey it is you choose to take from an activity standpoint, just as long as you know that, man, it will help you so much, not only physically, but from a mental health perspective.
Okay, Jesse, do you have anything you would like to add?
Yeah, I think for me, I would just encourage everybody to try, right? Like if you're having a hard time, right, with whatever, you're unhappy, you're pissed off, right? You're sad about something, just try it. You don't have to be the strongest person. You don't have to do the most. Just try it. Try a little bit. See how it feels, right? And yeah, it hurts, right? You get sore. You'll have that soreness and you have that pain, you have that burn. But does it really compare Can you really compare it to why you're doing it? I mean, think about things that you went through in your life. Could any muscle burn or any muscle soreness compare to some of the hurt you felt from a loved one? Or right now, I got this healthy place I can put this, man. Just try it. I mean, it ain't nothing but a little effort.
And then I would say for myself, my thing is what I'll always push is, just try to find something that makes you happy and do a little bit of that every day, whether that's fitness or painting or gardening or, getting outside and taking a walk or breathing in, the warm air and feeling the sun on your skin. Sometimes it's the simple things in life. So sometimes when you're having a real hard time, I have an aunt who told me, when you've been in the dark for so long, even a little light hurts. So, I try to remember that sometimes, people have been sitting in the dark for a long time. So, maybe that first step looks a little intimidating, but just think baby steps are still steps. Just keep that forward momentum. Just find something. And if you didn't like what you tried, try something else, because you never know when you might find that thing and it just clicks and that's what you needed. That's the thing you needed. For Jesse, it was fitness. For David, it's fitness. For myself, it was, I love swimming, but I also love other things too. You know what I mean? And it was just reminding myself that just to chase a little bit of happiness every day, because that's all that really matters in the end, right? We all on a journey to the end of till we're not here no more. So might as well enjoy the journey. So
Thanks.
And then that's it.
That's where we'll pause for today. Thank you for being part of this space, for listening, reflecting, and holding these conversations with us. If something stayed with you or stirred something new, we'd love to hear it. Your voice matters here. If there's a story you think we should tell or a question we should sit with, reach out. This is a shared journey, one conversation at a time.